Good evening, one and all, and welcome to episode 231 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you live on YouTube. And for those of you who always or usually make an effort to tune in live, very, very sincere apologies because today's episodes have not been trailed at all. They're a little bit of a surprise. So if people around the world at the moment are receiving notifications and thinking, what, he didn't tell us he's doing any videos today, then I'm very, very sorry. But don't worry, if you can't tune in, the recording will be here for you to watch forever, or at least for as long as we have YouTube. So the rough plan for today is that we're going to very quickly smell this and then take a 2-minute break and then come back with another video. This is part of me trying to squeeze in as many reviews as possible between now and, well, sort of 2 weeks from now, when things really will start winding down and we stop doing videos and blog posts for the holiday season. I've got to start thinking about the best perfumes of the year posts, etc., etc. So that there was a window of opportunity, and I thought, well, let's try and take it. And also, I would imagine that a lot of you are virtually over on the east coast of the United States at the moment, taking part in Max 40's Scent Explore event. You may be aware that I will be running 2 interview panels at Scent Explore later today at 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. UK time. But of course, if you're watching the recording, that's not going to mean anything. There are some people tuning in. Stephen gets the first comment saying hello, Persolaise. Andrea saying hello from Manchester. Pine Rocks, good afternoon. And Sabra is saying greetings from Seattle. Okay, these are going to be 2 quick videos of some things that I wanted to share with you. This is a brand that I haven't spoken about on Love at First Scent or indeed on persolaise.com at all. It's Veronique Gabai, or I had a conversation with the founder of the brand, with Veronique herself, and one of the things that I didn't ask her was how she pronounces her surname. So I don't know whether it's Gabai or Gabai, but I would imagine from the fact that there isn't an accent on the I at the end, it's Gabai. But perhaps we will find out for ourselves, because I would really, really like to get her on Love at First Scent for an interview, hopefully in the new year, because trust me, she is one of the most fascinating industry insiders that you will ever hope to meet. She's got so many stories and so much experience of having worked in the industry. Anyway, after having worked at Lauder, for Lauder, been responsible for all sorts of things to do with Lauder that she is probably best placed to tell you about herself. A few years ago, she decided to start her own brand, her eponymous brand, Veronique Gabai, and there are a few scents there already. And I've started familiarizing myself with some of them. I haven't smelt all of them, but I thought I would share the latest one with you. This is called Le Point G. And yes, that is French for G-spot. But I guess it also ties in with the fact that her surname starts with G, so we're sort of letting her off there. She's allowed to have that. But I was really taken with this as a scent. This is the travel atomizer of it, by the way. If you'd like to see what the proper bottle looks like, feel free to do a search online. And why was I taken with this? Because as a die-hard scent geek, and I thought this is why this would appeal to you as well, this has got such a wonderful retro quality to it. And when I said that to Veronique herself, she took that as a compliment, because I think she is a scent geek at heart as well. So what do you smell when you smell this? What you smell, here we go. So this is Le Point G from Veronique Gabai. Hello to all of you, by the way. I have just sprayed a lot of perfume on my laptop here. Never mind. I guess the laptop will probably survive. Right, here we go. This is why I was so taken with this. Now, my personal frame of reference is that this feels like the handbag, or smells like the handbag of an aunt, as in one of my aunts, personally one of my aunts, not just like a sort of generic aunt, but of an aunt in Iran circa 1979, 1980. And what I mean by that is that it's got the smell of leather, but a very, very gentle, completely non-aggressive leather. It's got the kind of rose violet feel of lipstick, which I guess is what gives it its retro quality. And Pine Rock saying, I love handbag scents. And it's also got a really, really gorgeous, I suppose, face powdery iris-like feel. There is another iris in this range called, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the light of iris, or iris light, as in, but its name is French, so it's Lumière d'Iris, which is a really, really interesting, well done kind of iris soliflor, except we shouldn't really call it a soliflor because, as we know, it's the rooty, woody aspects of iris that's used in perfumery. The flower itself tends not to have a smell. So that's the brand's kind of straight up and down iris. Here in Le Poinget, iris is just one of the players. I've already mentioned a leather and rose and the powdery feel. And it creates this very, very, very sensuous, very slyly, seductively carnal feel. There's all sorts of Freudian things that you can read out there in relation to handbags and how they may or may not relate to the female psyche and feminine sexuality, etc. So I will leave you to do that kind of investigating on the internet. But what you've got here is something that is very, very, very self-consciously retro, and yet I think manages to smell modern and completely relevant. You know, this is much, much more than just a trip down memory lane. I think what makes it smell relevant is the inclusion of a kind of clean, streamlined, peppery note at the top, and perhaps a kind of dry, woody, cedary, musky feel. So it's not musty. It's not old-fashioned in that sense. It's not oppressive. And Veronique herself explained that if there is a kind of defining characteristic of all of her scents in the range, it's that she never wants them, no matter what the materials may be, she never wants them to feel overly heavy or oppressive. In fact, she wants them to be quite luminous, filled with light. And absolutely, you can smell that in this, so that even though it's got this kind of come hither gaze to it, there is nothing in the least bit claustrophobic about it. A few people have tuned in. You know, apologies to those of you who may be watching the recording afterwards, saying that you wish you'd known about it. But some of you are here, and thank you very much, Uzi, for saying who's the perfumer, because the perfumer is none other than Frank Voelkl. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his surname properly. The chap who made, I always get this wrong. I'm gonna say Santal 33 for Le Labo, and I think that's right because I get mixed up between him and whoever made Santal Blush for Tom Ford. I believe Santal Blush Tom Ford is Jan Vanier, and Santal 33 for Le Labo is Frank Voelkl. So this is, you need to check this out. And as I say, I will do my best to have Veronique on the channel in the new year. I don't have a press release, but I can tell you just the little bit of the blurb, that it's a bit of a cheeky, facetious blurb that the brand has put on their website. It says, G-Spot, a climactic perfume, the kiss of rose, the caress of white musks, the soft bite of leather, the intense passion of vanilla, woods, and amber, a vertigo for the senses. This perfume is built like a vibration, a pulse, a crescendo. Batteries not included. It grows on skin and adds a new facet to the previous one as you keep going back to your skin until it reaches its full completion in an exhale of pure pleasure. Woozy is saying he also did Iris 39 for Le Labo. I think you may well be right. I think my main response to that blurb would be that, to me, this feels less explosive, less violent than that description on the website, but I think it is all the better for it. I think the fact that it is actually a bit more restrained, a bit more thoughtful, a bit more composed makes it much more interesting, because it's got a kind of seductiveness that takes you by surprise. It's not vulgar, okay? It's not, you know, it's not Joan Collins seductiveness, if you can imagine such a thing. It's not great big huge 80s shoulder pad seductiveness. There's something a bit more thought out to it, or something a bit more intellectual to it. So do check it out. Thank you very much for tuning into this one. I'll be back in a couple of minutes with something brand new from Andy Tower. So see you in a bit.